What is going on, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your boy Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles. What is going on, everybody? Tonight, we're just hanging out here on a Friday night, just chilling. We're having a good time. Really had nothing going on tonight. Talked to a couple people during the week, seeing if they wanted to do a live stream. A couple people said they wanted me to come on, just talk about stuff. So, like I said, usually when I do these things, I don't really have much going on. So, if anybody out there wants to talk about comics, about cards, about New York Comic Con. That's coming up next week. Your boy is supposed to be there on Friday only this week. So I've gone Thursdays in the past, I've gone Fridays in the past, never on the weekend because it's an absolute disaster with people bombarding each other, people who can't get off work during the week. They go on Saturday and Sunday, a lot of kids. I'm trying to skip all that. So Thursdays are usually, pretty packed because people want to get their incentives, get their all their, variant covers that they want. So it's pretty crazy. So Fridays are usually my best bet, and that's what I'm doing this year. So hope to be there Friday. And I say hope because my oldest is having shoulder surgery. He got hurt playing football this year, so he's doing that on Wednesday. So if all goes well, which we assume it's going to be, that I will be there on Friday. So with that said, I want to say hello to anybody who's out there in the chat. Doesn't look like we have too many people, but that's okay. It's Friday night. I did this thing last minute. So if you guys have any comic book, card, video game questions, I'm always here to answer, especially vintage stuff, because that's really my alley that I play in. You guys know me if you watch my channel. That's really what I'm about, vintage comics. Of course, I do GPK. I'm excited to announce we're going to have a GPK expert that's going to be coming on the podcast. I don't want to reveal who it is yet, but someone who is knee deep in the garbage pail kids, who has a lot to say and a lot of knowledge out there. So I can't wait to have him on. We're going to do that over the next couple of weeks. Also have some good episodes. Of course, today came out my boy Jesse James. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. That was a fun one today. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you give it a listen. We talked about everything from him growing up in the industry, owning his own comic store, stuff like that. Uh, really about being successful in the industry and what it takes. So it was a really fun conversation that him and I had, and hopefully we'll do it again someday as well. But upcoming, definitely a cool one next week. I had two guys on to talk about their favorite 1980s movies. And if you know me, you know I'm an 80s kid. And we had a blast talking about our favorite 80s movies. And I don't want to drop who's on the podcast, but someone who's been on it before, and then someone brand new as well. The three of us had a really great conversation. It was quite funny as well. So that's going to be next week. And then the following week, a big time YouTuber was able to join me last night. We had a good conversation, and that's going to be up in a couple of weeks as well. So make sure you're tuning in to the Mighty Rewind podcast because it's always a fun time. Great guests, a lot of great conversation. If you like comics, if you like nostalgia, that's what this is about. So make sure you tune in every week. I usually drop a new episode on Fridays. Uh, but here's to hoping next week I probably won't film anything, that we keep it going. So with that said, I'm going to open it up. But like I said, I don't expect a lot of people here tonight. The one thing I will mention tonight is that we'll do a giveaway just like we did last time. Every time I come on and do a Rewind podcast live, we'll do a giveaway if we can get to the magic number of 10 super chats or $50 in total, whatever comes first. If we get a $50 super chat total within the time I'm on, I will do a giveaway to one lucky winner. We'll run it. We'll pick a number, obviously, like how I always run it. Or if we get 10 super chats, I will give something away and mail you something that I have on the side right here. So with that said, let me say hello to Black Spiders, the only person in the chat so far, man. What's going on? It's all right. Like I said, it's an impromptu live stream tonight. I'm just hanging out, having a glass, relaxing. I'm trying not to drink that much anymore, but it's Friday night. I'm off the weekend, so that's what we're doing tonight. So if we don't have any like burning questions to start us off, the one thing I want to talk about today, especially, is New York Comic Con. I have been going to New York Comic Con for uh, the past 6 years, I think. So, with that said, I am going for my either this is the sixth or seventh year in a row. I'm going to throw up the screen here so you guys can. There we go. You can see me now. Can I make this a little bigger? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can make this bigger, but regardless, you could. I hope you guys can see. There you go. A little bigger. I made it. There we go. Okay. Hope you guys can see that now. So maybe I can even go a little bigger. Hold on. All right. That should work for now. So these are all the guests for New York Comic Con. Obviously, it doesn't show everybody. It's a large space. This is only the main floor as well, like the show floor. There's artist alley on top of that, or below that, I should say, and then obviously the panels and stuff on the other floors. But for me, I usually stick to this part of the show, and I really enjoy this part of the show. This year, it's a little far away to see some of these things, but I want to plan my route this year because I'm not going to have all day to kind of do this stuff. Normally, I'll spend the entire day with my kid. It's just going to be me this year. So I want to hit as many booths that I possibly can to check this out. So that's my plan this year. So let's go ahead and check out some of the places I want to hit first. So I don't think you could see uh, where I'm pointing, unfortunately, but at the bottom right here, there's this big blue square, and these are like escalators that you actually walk into the show. So you're walking into this main floor right here towards the bottom right here. So right off the bat, and I know it's a little tough to see, so maybe you can make it bigger on your screen, but right off the bat, to the left of that is CGC. Like literally, right as you come on, CGC is right in front of you, which is normally not there. It is like they're usually like towards the middle of the floor, which kind of sucks. But this year, they're right in the entrance booth, and literally two booths away is PSA. So I thought that was kind of funny, considering they're usually on the opposite ends of the show floor. When I don't mean like all the way on the right, all the way on the left. I'm really talking about like, if CGC is towards the middle, then PSA is towards the left, maybe like 6 or 7 lanes down. Literally, there are 2 aisles separating these two. So I find that kind of funny this year, especially with everything that's going on in the comic book encapsulation space. So those are two booths I'm definitely going to hit up. Believe it or not, I do have a book I'm going to be dropping off to PSA at the show. I've never done that before. Last year, PSA booth was very, very dead. I don't know how to say it better than that. Obviously, they weren't having comic submissions yet, but the card grading stuff also was very dead the day I was there. There was nobody at the booth really. CGC, not as dead, but definitely slower than I have seen in the past. So we're going to see this year if that holds true, if they're going to get busier. I got to assume with PSA just launching their comic grading service that there's going to be more people interested in that, seeing how the drop off works, seeing how fast it is, seeing if there are longer lines. Obviously, they're going to be doing card stuff too. So I'm not sure how they're going to delegate that, with regards to lines, if it's going to be one singular line, maybe 2 lines, no idea. Regardless, I am dropping off a magazine size book to PSA. So it's not a regular comic. I did send PSA a comic book. I shouldn't say a comic book, a comic book esque thing already. It's due to come back on Monday. So once I get that back in my hand, I will show you guys how they actually encapsulated this thing, because it's totally different than a normal comic. And I really wanted to see how they were going to handle it. So I'm excited to get that back as well. So Black Spider said he's going to be at the show on Wednesday only, that's the preview night, right? Black Spiders? Because the show opens on Thursday. So I'm assuming you're going preview night. So that's still pretty good, because I think preview night, I would love to get in preview night to see what everybody's got, set up. Sometimes you can get some really great deals if they let you actually buy something. But a lot of the times from what I've seen other people go is like you walk around, see where everybody's set up. People are setting up the entire time. But again, talking to people is part of the show, especially for me. Like that's what I really like. But like I said, the reason I'm showing the map here is because I want to hit a lot of things early. So my plan is they open up at 10 o'clock. I'm going to be there around 9:15 or so, 9:30, get in line. As soon as I walk into this thing, I'm going to go right to PSA to drop off this book so I can get in and out of line very quickly so I can start going off to all the other things I want to hit. Now, if you've never been to New York Comic Con before, I'm not going to lie to you guys. There is literally I'm going to minimize this for a bit because there's literally a lot of fluff. And I've said this before, a ton of fluff at these shows. So like it's a lot of, I would say 2/3, a lot of crap. And then a third is actually really, really cool stuff. So if you're not a comic person, like if you're not going there to buy vintage comics or you're not going there to buy even exclusive stuff like that, there's so many other things there that are like not pertaining to comics at all. I'm sure many of you know if you go to other shows, it's like that as well. But this is like it really is a huge thing when you go to New York Comic Con because there's so much fluff and not a lot of comic stuff. So I want to plan my route of what I'm actually doing, believe it or not. So I want to use my time appropriately because I also want to film. You guys know that every year I've gone to New York Comic Con since the inception of this channel. I've been filming for you guys, showing you what they have. I show you the books, I show you the art. In the past, I've showed you some toys, some statues, stuff like that, if they've had them there. And there are years past where they haven't even had statues. So Black Spider says New York Comic Con can be overwhelming sometimes. No question. Uh, it is really freaking packed. So that's why I like to get there early, get in line. And I'm usually about the line is literally half full by the time I get there. Usually, anyway, people are there super early, lining up to be the first people in line to get some of these exclusives. I'm not that guy. I just want to get into the show and like kind of look around. I'm not really going there to buy anything this year, really. So I just want to look around and see if there's anything that I haven't seen before. And if there is something like that, I want to show you guys, right? That's the main thing of the show. So with that said, let's plan the route a little bit. I know you guys can't see a lot of this stuff, so please just bear with me. But like I said before, the CGC is literally and PSA is right when you walk up the escalators, which is awesome. No, I can't even move this thing to make it a little bigger. Sorry. All right, so that's right when you walk in to the all the way in the far back to the right, that's a DC logo, believe it or not. All right. A DC logo. So with that said, um, I don't know what they're going to have there. I've never seen DC set up at the show before. So I'm not sure if they're going to have like their own exclusives, if their own variants, or they're going to have other things for sale. Obviously, they usually do some type of, smaller presentation, stuff like that, but they have their own booth all the way in the back of the show this year. So I'm excited to see what they're going to offer, but that's going to be awesome as well. Um, there's a Walmart booth this year, which I've never seen before. So, like I said, PSA, CGC, I'm going to check them out first. The other thing I'm excited about is Tops is back at New York Comic Con. Last year, they were not at New York Comic Con at all. And this year, they are back. And they are literally sandwiched in between CGC and PSA, which is really awesome because I don't have to go very far to hit up these booths that I really want to go to first and foremost. Okay. So at the Tops booth a couple of years ago, and I'm talking like 3 years back, and I hope they do this again, they literally had a Garbage Pail Kids wall of like old Garbage Pail Kids. And I had a great conversation with one of the guys from Tops, and he was talking about like, you can take one of the cards off the wall. It's like, if you have a card with you, leave it on the wall for somebody else and take one of your favorite cards home with you. And that's, I thought, was a great thing because they were vintage cards. They weren't like some of the new cards they put out. They were actually vintage cards, which I thought was fantastic. So me and my kid enjoyed that because, he likes Garbage Pail Kids too. We thought they were funny back then, but I hope they do that again because I had a blast looking at through some of those cards. I had a blast talking to the guys at Tops. Last year they weren't there, and the year prior they were there, but they really didn't have a Garbage Pail Kids presence. Okay. They had like a booth where you can go in, you could try to win something, but it was all nonsense. I'm not going to lie to you. So, the first booth they had a couple of years back was awesome. I hope they bring that back. And now that they're back at New York Comic Con, I'm excited to finally have them there because it was a really fun time a couple of years ago. So I hope they do that again. So PSA, CGC, Tops, Bandai is going to be there, which is, normally a gaming company, but they do our cards and stuff like that. So I'm probably really not too interested in that. eBay is going to be there. So I'm not sure if they're going to be live sellers like Whatnot does. Whatnot is all the way in the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. Usually they have people there, setting up, doing live shows, stuff like that. Right above Whatnot is Hasbro. Now, if you're a toy collector, a toy fan, Hasbro puts out some of the best toys there are right now in the industry. So I got to hit that booth up, hoping it's not just like modern crap, but they do put out some great things. So I'm hoping they have a great selection of things to choose from. So Hasbro is definitely something that I have to check out. Konami is going to be there. So you guys know I'm an old school gamer. I have not seen Konami set up at one of these shows in a really long time. So I'm hoping they bring something fun and new that I haven't seen before as well, that I could show you guys on the channel as well. So that's definitely a booth that I want to hit up. So we're going to start in the middle of the floor. When we get done with CGC, PSA, Tops, eBay, checking those guys out. We're going to go all the way down to the left and check out, Hasbro. We'll stop by Whatnot just to see what they're doing. But if it's just guys live streaming, we're probably going to stay away from that. And they're probably going to go head all the way around to the DC booth at the top right-hand corner and see what they're all about there. Usually around that space are like people just playing like video games. They have like monitors set up so people could try new video games or certain type of things like that set up for people who are going to be at the show. That's really not my thing, but I'm glad to see DC is going to be there as well this year. There's a NECA booth, which is really hit or miss if you're a toy or statue guy. In the past, I have been going to Diamond Select to check out all their new statues that are coming out, but they are no more, right? Diamond Select, I don't think is around anymore. So they're not going to be there. And I don't believe there's actually going to be any, you know, good statue people at the show, unfortunately, which sucks. But, what are you going to do? Marvel always has a nice electronic presence on the floor. For kids, especially, they're showing, certain things from movies or games, mostly games, I think, that they've been showing over the past couple of years, but they usually have a really, really awesome presence, especially for children. So either way, I'll video that. Capcom, right next to the Marvel booth on the right is Capcom, and Capcom has their own booth this year. So I'm also, like I said, I'm a big video game guy, especially a vintage video game guy, Street Fighter, all those beat 'em up games. Definitely into that when I was a kid. So I'm hoping they have something really cool at Capcom. I haven't seen them set up in New York Comic Con before, or maybe I've missed it in the past because the show is so big. But that's definitely also a booth that I want to check out. Now I'm going to close this for a little bit because I think I covered most of the things that I have to take a look at on the show floor. So let me just get rid of this thing for a bit. There we go. All right. So I'll catch up on the chat in a minute, but what I wanted to mention to you guys, obviously, about New York Comic Con is everything that I just told you, but also the comics, right? Every year I go there. Last year, especially, I had a great time interviewing a couple of dealers. Comic Link was really generous with me, talking with me for about 5 minutes about the platform, about what's good about their platform versus other platforms, about their auction versus other auctions. Of course, they have like their own, I don't want to say space to sell books. I'm losing the exchange. That's what it's called. The exchange, where you could sell your books on Comic Link without the auction, which is something that I've used since its inception as a comic collector, like 20 something plus years ago. So that was always good too. So Comic Link was very generous with me last year. I also sat down with a couple of dealers. We talked a little bit as well. So that was always fun. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to go around and talk to a lot of dealers this year, but who knows? Maybe I'll get a few. I do have, some meet and greets set up with a couple of other YouTubers who are going to be at the show this year. So hopefully we can get a quick chat in with them that I can video and show you guys. But other than that, that is really my plan this year to just outside of regularly filming the comics, seeing some awesome stuff that you get to see every year at New York Comic Con. So Mercury, what's going on? One of the few people who responded to me when I said, "Are you guys interested in a live stream tonight?" So what's going on, my friend? What a good beginner toy for Spidey. Anyone I haven't started but would like to try, let me know. What's a good beginner buy? So that's a good question. What's a beginner toy for a Spidey? I mean, I don't know. Toy wise, um, I like the vintage toys as opposed to the newer ones. If you talk to a kid, like my kid really loved Marvel Legends. He had every freaking Spider-Man figure there was in that line, and they keep coming out with new ones. So it really depends what you're looking for and who you're buying for. If it's for a child, you might want to go to Marvel Legends. It's for a collector, an adult collector. I prefer vintage stuff, and you can get cheap like Marvel superheroes vintage stuff, Spider-Man for like 20 something bucks now. So they're not that expensive. That's stuff I like. The one thing I will say is this: being a vintage collector, I like to collect my toys mint on card for the most part, but that's your choice, my man. Duh, same question. I got you, brother. The one thing I'll also mention to you guys is that the restream link is in the chat. I pinned it. If anybody wants to get on and talk about vintage comics or New York Comic Con, you're more than welcome to hit that link. As long as the video and audio is solid, come on, chat with me. I do not mind. You guys know that. Great question here. What's going on? Solid Teleport. I love that name, man. Welcome aboard. Who would be your top 3 favorite Spider-Man villains? See, now you're getting into my realm of things I wanna talk about, right? I love that. So, that's a really tough choice. For me, my top villains have always been Sandman, because I just love the premise of Sandman, what he's able to do and turn into sand. I had a real fondness for that character growing up, especially with the old Nintendo and the old Genesis games. So I absolutely loved the Sandman in those games. So I've always loved the Sandman. I wasn't a huge Vulture guy growing up, even though I love ASM2 is one of my favorite early Silver Age Spider-Man issues. Kingpin I loved as well, but I wouldn't put him top 3. A lot of people would say Green Goblin, so I have to probably put him in my top 3. Uh, I love the Lizard. I don't know if I would put him top 3 though. Man, that's a great question. 4, 5, 6. Electro. I would put Electro probably as my top 3. I would go Electro, Green Goblin, and Sandman. Lizard is close though. I'm not gonna lie. I like the original villains. I've always enjoyed Lizard as a character. Anybody who has a close attachment to Spider-Man, like that's what I love. And oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Doc Ock. Sorry. So Doc Ock would be my number one. There's no question. Doc Ock is my favorite Spider-Man villain. I would probably go. Oh man, you're making it tough on me, brother. Let's go Doc Ock, Sandman, Goblin, and then you know what, Doc. That sounds about right for me. Doc Ock, Sandman, Goblin. And if I have to go 4 or 5, be Lizard. It'd be Electro, Lizard, Rhino, Scorpion, Kingpin, and then probably Hobgoblin, and then Morbius. So probably in that order. I could not have Doc Ock as my top. He's always my favorite Spider-Man villain. Again, from the comics, from the 1990s animated series, to me, always the best villain. I know the Goblin has got that real early tie to Spider-Man, but Doc Ock is to me is a funnier Spider-Man villain, and that's what I enjoyed about him the most. Okay, so I like Venom. I like Venom, but why do I make these earlier characters? I have more fondness for them because those are the characters I grew up with. Like I was reading Spider-Man a lot earlier before Venom was introduced, so I've always had a fondness for those characters first. I do love Venom, to get me wrong, but the problem with Venom for me is what they've done with the character later on. If they had just left him as Eddie Brock, Venom, and left it alone, he'd be a lot higher. But what they did with the character after the fact, I don't like. I don't like him being the anti-hero. I'm not a fan of that. I want original Eddie Brock asshole Venom. That's why. And we haven't seen that one in a while. Derek Neiman, channel member, what's going on, brother? How are you? Good to see you, man. Oh, the OG channel member, John Rowe. It's good to see you, my friend. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being a channel member for as long as you have, brother. Really appreciate it. And good seeing you, man. I haven't seen you in a bit. So Derek says Gabi over Sandman. A lot of people would probably say that, but to me, I've always loved the Sandman. I've always loved him. Always. I thought he was such a great character. And like I said, Doc Ock has got to be number one. There's no question to me. Kingpin, Lizard, Mysterio, says Round Guy. See, I wasn't a huge Mysterio fan growing up as a kid. Lizard, 100%. Kingpin, yes. But the problem with Kingpin is that he's also a Daredevil villain. So I always considered him more of a Daredevil villain, even though he first appeared in Spider-Man, but he was more of a Daredevil villain to me, even though we all know he is a Spider-Man villain as well. Yeah, so, like, if it like I said, if Venom stuck the way he was from when he was introduced, 100%, I think it'd be a lot higher, but even, like, the Sony movies, I can't stand what they did to the character. I can't stand it. Venom cannot be Venom without the spider symbol. So how can you have a Venom without having him know Peter Parker and going through that origin? Like, I heard, like, all the rumors right now about possibly the symbiote, bonding with Scorpion, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I know what happened in the comics, but that cannot be how it's introduced in the MCU. I think that would be a terrible idea if they did that. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoy the Kingpin. Don't get me wrong, man. It's just I've always loved the original villains. I thought they were so imaginative. Like I said, Doc Ock was my favorite villain because he was the funniest. Lizard, I like anytime you have an attachment to a character, and that's why Goblin's there as well because you got the attachment to Peter Parker. Uh, it makes the characters better. That's just my opinion. Like Venom's a great character because Eddie Brock is an attachment to Peter Parker as well. But like I said, when you change the character a million times, that's what happens. Phil, how are you, man? Good to see you, brother. So I just want to take a moment to remind you guys, if you're interested, this is no thing at all. I will do a giveaway if we get to $50 or 10 super chats. That's up to you. No, don't feel like you have to, but like if anybody's interested in a giveaway, that's what we'll do, or else we'll do it for another day. So I will keep track of it. No issue at all. So yeah, like I said, I had no agenda tonight. I wanted to just come on and talk about New York Comic Con a little bit. I'm excited to go this year. I wasn't really sure if I was going to get tickets this year, and I kind of got them late, and I was shocked that they still had tickets available for Thursday, Friday, and they did. So what does that tell me? That maybe it won't be as busy this year. I'm hoping, but who knows? But it's always nice to see some of the amazing crap that you get to see at New York Comic Con, like some of the books. I remember a couple of years back, like CBCS changed their labels. That was a big story. Um, I'll take credit on breaking that news. I remember going live from Instagram and from YouTube saying that CBCS after 3 years changed their labels. So that was fun. So New York Comic Con is always a good thing. I know Swaggle is going to be this year. We had a short convo talking. He was going to be there doing some stuff. I think he's going to be on a panel. So that's cool. Gem Mint is going to be there. I had a conversation with him yesterday. Uh, we're not, we don't talk often, but he did say he's going to be going to New York Comic Con. So hope to see him there. Obviously, the usual suspects I expect to be there. Guys like Depressible Defects. I know they don't do YouTube anymore, but they usually here by hanging around Barry Gary's booth. My LCS is going to be there again. Zap Comics, some of my favorite people in the industry. So I wanted last year to get an interview with them, but they were so freaking packed. And I hate to bother anybody when they're super busy. So let me ask you guys while I have you here, what do you like? Like, what kind of video footage do you like to see from shows? Like, do you like just the walk around videos? Like I go to like these toy shows and film stuff, you guys don't watch it. So the comic stuff's a little different. I understand that. So if there's something you like from the show and New York Comic Con, tell me what you want to see. This way I could try to make it happen. MJ, what's going on, brother? How you doing? It's got to be late over there. What time is it? Like 2 a.m.? Thanks for shopping in, man. Round Guy says Hobgoblin is first villain that stuck in my memory as a kid. Yeah, he was a cool villain, man. A little bit like the Goblin if you're a younger collector, but the Green Goblin, I mean. But if you didn't grow up with a Green Goblin, it makes sense to be a Hobgoblin fan. Luis Mendoza, what's going on, my friend? How are you? Thanks for joining the chat tonight. And like I said to everybody out there, we're just kind of chilling tonight. I'm always open to comic book questions. It's funny because collecting vintage right now is, it's really easy right now. Let me put it that way because there's so much available for books. You can go anywhere and buy anything right now. Even like if you were looking for a Superman 1, you can go out and buy a Superman 1 right now. Like there's so many available. So it's a good time to be a collector if you want to buy books. That's what's really cool right now because back in, 2017, 2018, while the books were there, because Instagram really wasn't a thing yet for comics, because YouTube really wasn't a thing yet for comics, like people selling, you're basically going to your local comic shop, you're going to Comic Cons, you're going to small shows. That was your avenue, and eBay, of course. But those are your avenues to buy books. Obviously, the auction houses as well. But I find that the auction houses, even Comics Links Exchange, like I'm not really getting deals, right? Everything's listed and sells for around at what it's supposed to sell for the most part. I mean, every once in a while you find something that's all right. I got a little bit of a deal on that. But if it's a popular book, usually sells for what it's supposed to sell for. So with that said, now that we have all these platforms like Instagram, like YouTube, like and all these social media platforms as well, like Whatnot and eBay Live, like it's so easy to go out and find any book you want. I think that really has kind of driven down what people want to go out and buy, which sucks for the hobby. But at the same time, I think it's good for people who are in the hobby that want to buy vintage books, right? If I didn't own all the books that I've owned in my lifetime, now I'd be scooping up a lot of stuff right now. You guys always hear me talk about, the 10 Bronze Age books that I want to own. Like now would be the time for me to pick up a lot of those. I think Silver Age has been forgotten, unfortunately. Right now, it's been really beat to death. But if you've been like a Fantastic Four fan, a lot of great Silver Age keys. Obviously, Spidey, we talk about those. I think will last the test of time because of the popularity of the character and the DC keys. Right, the DC, for as hot as it's got, the books haven't done anything. Like certain books shoot up, like House of Secrets 92 shot up, and now it's coming back down. Some of the Batman keys shot up, and when I say keys, I'm not talking about the Golden Age stuff. I'm talking about like all the other ones. They shot up for a bit, and then they're right back down. So like the books, like um, Showcase 22, they haven't even moved, which is crazy to me. Ray Guevara, what's going on, man? Hey, brother, off topic. What's your take on the Magic the Gathering cards? Saw Swagalow's video yesterday going for crazy money. So you're the second person to ask me about that today. And honestly, man, I'm not a Magic the Gathering guy. I think if you're a Spider-Man fan, I'm not paying top dollar for this shit. But that's just me. I've never been a Magic guy, so I'm not really into it. I'm into all things Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather put my money elsewhere when it comes to Spidey. For me, like when it comes down to anything collectible, I want the first time a character appeared. So if we're talking about Mario, what's the first Mario? I mean, it'd be in an arcade, but obviously, if you don't fit an arcade in your house, what's the next one? I'm not talking about Japanese stuff either. So let me clarify. I'm talking about in the United States because the Japanese stuff would be even harder to buy. Even though if I can get it for cheap, I'd probably do it. But like if it was the NES, that's really what I remember Mario is. I'd go out and get Super Mario's. It doesn't have to be, sealed because that would be crazy money. But if it's a complete in-box Super Mario Brothers, I would do that. If your thing is Spider-Man, I want to own AF-15. If your thing is, you know, He-Man, because I'm a He-Man guy, I want to own a mint on card He-Man, or even a loose complete He-Man if you can't do the mint on card. Like that's my thing. I always want the first time somebody came about, and I want that first thing to do with it. Like I'm trying to think of the reference that I always use, but it's slipping my mind right now when it comes to first appearances. But like when we talk about comics, like that DC presents the first He-Man and Skeletor in comics. All right, it's the first time He-Man and Skeletor in their standard comic, but it's not in their first appearance in comics. But I think my mic is my thing. There we go. Uh, their first appearance in comics, of course, is the mini comic, the 1981 mini comic, The Power of Grayskull. So that is what I want to own, and I actually do own it. So just stuff like that. So that's the type of collector I am. I want to own the first appearance of a character in whatever medium he came out in. It doesn't have to be comics, but that's just me. Round Guy says, I like the walk around with some wall action and wouldn't mind seeing what you're shopping for. So here's the thing with me. I like the wall action too. The problem is in the past with Euro Comic Con, like the cases, like from Comic Connect, I can get to, they let me go in and they let me film. Comic Link, they let me do it because they have like these big glass cases, so it's easy to see. But like the wall books are tough at Euro Comic Con because there's so many collectors packed in, digging through some of the boxes that I can't really get in to see some of the wall stuff. It's so far back that like it's tough to see some of the walls. If I get there early enough and I go straight to the booths, which I'm actually not because I want to go to PSA, drop off this book first, I could try to get in some of the footage there. But other than that, like I like looking at some of the books too. What I really like to show off is the rare shit that I see. I'll probably do a little toy digging while I'm there as well. They usually have a couple of good toy dealers that have shit that you don't see before. A couple of years back, I remember walking around with my kid, and some guy had a sealed box of Series 2 Garbage Pail Kids, and it was like a good price. And I should have picked it up, and I was an asshole for not picking it up, but I'll probably never see that again. Another time I was there, and one of the booths had a mint on card He-Man and Skeletor. Again, they were decent prices. I probably should have picked them up. I didn't. But that's the type of stuff when I go to New York Comic Con, I look for. Comic wise, I hate to say it, but I'm not really looking to buy anything unless like something like that I learned that I never knew before. Because I hate to say it, but when you get a Tech 27, even though mine is incomplete, like I don't know where I can go from here. That's what I meant. Like I've actually owned a lot of the books in my collection that I'm going to own at some point in my life, and that's really going to be it. I see no reason to go out and buy them again. Uh, I don't. The fuck is going on my freaking camera? So that's just the way I do. So when I go out filming, I try to find stuff that like I think you guys would like or that we haven't seen before because I think that's like what a lot of people want to see. Like what have I not seen before? If I haven't been to a New York Comic Con, what can this dude show me? That's how I think about it when I go around. Black Spider says, I like the He-Man Golden books. They're nice. You're talking about the big ones? Is that what you're talking about? There's ones also that came with like a mini record that I used to love. If I could find one, the books they're like yay big, but they came with like a mini record. I used to have one or two when I was a kid. I could find them with the record, I would buy those because that's something I think complete. You're not going to see that often. Really tough to find. Even like there was a Masters of the Universe magazine, believe it or not. Like I went on eBay the other day and I vaguely remember that from being a kid, but I saw them and they're still pretty cheap. And I almost picked them up. I'm like, I'm not going to grade these things. What am I going to do with them? Just kind of flip through them from a nostalgia. It was too expensive just to flip through. So again, we got 20 people in there now, which is cool. So again, I'll take any questions you guys. Also, and like I said before, if anybody wants to jump on the stream, the beginning of the chat, I have pinned the link if somebody wants to come on and talk about comics or anything for that matter, especially New York Comic Con. If anybody's going, is anybody in the chat going to New York Comic Con besides Black Spiders? But or has been before, I should say. I know a couple of people that I watch on YouTube. They've gone in the past, and this year they're not going. So that I thought that was interesting. So I think a lot of people are probably a little bit burnt out of the bigger cons. I don't know anybody have heard that. I'm sure I'll get a couple of people that will, you know, show up like because you can still buy tickets at there. Believe it or not, you can go there right now and buy it at the day of because there are available. You just gotta wait. It will call, which is nuts. I wouldn't do that, but regardless. But tell Philippe what's going on. You said you weren't making it tonight, man. Appreciate the super chat. Friends don't let friends overpay for second appearances. Stop in to support the best comic book channel on YouTube. ASM 129 to the moon. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. One another channel member, big supporter of the channel. Can't thank you enough, my man. Thank you. So far, we got three big channel members in here. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's exactly what those are, Black Spiders. The Golden Books is a kid's small square looking book. I think that we're talking about the same thing. They were like maybe 8 inches by 8 inches. Some of them came with a record. If I could find one with the record, I would 100% buy it if I can get a deal for it. The books themselves without the record, I think they're a little bit more common. But the records together, it's just so rare. The art for He-Man was the best toy art there has ever been in all of toys. There's no question in my mind. It's not even close. And that's what really made the line stand out was the art. So I know there's probably not a lot of He-Man fans in the building tonight, but I got to tell you, a lot of subs of my channel that those are the people who really watch a lot of my videos. Like I have 125,000 view on the He-Man movie, two of them actually. So if you go look at that, my videos, my like top 6 performing videos are about the He-Man movie. Believe it or not, I just had a conversation with a guest from the podcast that I won't name that we talked about how doing a little bit of everything on the channel can be a blessing, but it could also be a detriment. But regardless, we're here to talk about comics tonight. So, like I said, anybody out there looking to buy anything, like I know I say all the time, but like, what are you guys looking for? Or gals, if there's any gals in here tonight. Like, I still am enamored with Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man books. If I could find a nice ASM 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 13, 14, 15, and 20 for cheap, undervalued, I'm always buying them. Always. There's not a question in my mind. As long as they present well and they're undervalued, meaning someone I can get them for a deal, I will always buy them. Even though I have them all, those are things I would like to have multiples of. And I used to have a ton of them. I sold them all off to buy other things, as you guys have seen, but I still have my original copies that I'm going to keep. But to me, I think they're the best investment in comics, and I don't buy them for investment purposes. I just love to be able to go to the book, look at the books, remember the characters. Like they're so nostalgic for me. And because they're older books, they're Silver Age books, I don't have that nostalgia for, you know, copper, a little bit for bronze. There's very few books in the copper age that I have nostalgia for outside of like ASM 300, 301, all the McFarlane stuff, because I was a huge McFarlane guy, like most people were growing up when we grew up, right? In the 90s. So, or late 80s, early 90s. So for me, like those Silver Age Spideys were all about nostalgia. I have a smudge on my glasses. Tremendous, brother. Tremendous. Do you ever think we'll get a Batman Beyond live action? What is your favorite Batman? That's a great question. I think we are. I think eventually we will. I'm shocked that we haven't already. No question. I think we're going to get it at some point. I just think it's going to take a while because of what's going on right now in the DCU. Um, my favorite Batman, we're talking about comics or are we talking about movies? So I'll tell you my favorite comics, and that's Frank Miller's Batman. I've said that before. I think his Batman is the best Batman. That's the Batman that I loved. That Dark Knight Returns got me into reading Batman. Like there's no question in my mind. I always collected like some of the great Batman covers a little bit before that. Very rarely read that stuff before I got into Dark Knight Returns. And that book was so influential on me. I love that take on an older Batman who is like so hateful and needs to be Batman. That like that's his life. Like that's what I loved about the character. The preceding Batmans, as far as Neil Adams, being a detective, you know, they were a little bit more not my style as a reader for Batman. So that is my favorite comic book adaptation of Batman. No questions asked. I kind of wished he did more stuff. Like, and we can talk about the Master Race, which I thought was terrible. I always say that. Like, I don't know how Frank went from Dark Knight Returns to that. Even Year One, I thought was fantastic. And I read uh, Dark Knight Returns before I went back and read Year One and stuff like that on Batman. So, very very influential for me growing up reading that and that type of Batman. As far as the movies go, I don't think you're ever going to beat the Nolan trilogy. I think those are fantastic. All three movies are amazing. From the origin, and I've told people this before. Like I'm a big origin guy when it comes to superheroes. I want to know what makes the hero tick. I want to know what makes the villain tick. And I think we got that in all three of the Nolan movies. We found out why he became Batman. We found out why Ra's al Ghul did what he did. Obviously, the Joker, he doesn't have a motivation outside of taunting Batman, and that's his only thing he wants to do. And that's what I loved about his take on the Joker as well. Like he got him right. There was no rhyme or reason to the Joker. And then the last one, which everybody thought was like the weaker of the trilogy, I thought was a great. I thought Tom Hardy as Bane was fantastic. He did a great take on the character. And let's be honest, I don't care what anybody says. The Bane character from the comics is fucking ridiculous. Okay. I don't want to hear anybody's shit. Outside of him breaking Batman's back, the character is ridiculous character. That's just my opinion. But in the movie, they turned him into a force, and not just a physical force like he is in the comics. We all know that, right? They turned him into like a diabolical force also, which made him really, really interesting as a character. And the fact that they played it off and as him as an older Batman, it made sense. And him having to come back, and they threw it in there that as Alfred said to him, do you want to come back because you want him you want him to kill you basically, right? You need Batman. You need to be Batman, and you just want to die as Batman. But that's what made the story great, and him overcoming that, coming out of the pit was a great scene. Still to this day, that scene, him coming out of the pit, was fucking phenomenal. Gets me pumping every time I see it because let's just teaches you, what can be done, and that's what I got out of the comics as a kid. What can be done? That's what Spider-Man is. That's what Batman is. They're choices you make, and the choices you make allow you to do extraordinary things, and that's what that movie was about. So I will add this one thing: the Matt Reeves movie. I thought it was going to be shit. Didn't go see it in theater. I ended up watching it when it came out on streaming, and I was blown away how good that movie was. The detective work on that movie was stunning. Like really a great take on Batman's um, detective work. So I thought he did a great job. Say what you say what you want to say about the actor. I'm drawing a blank now. What the frick is his name? But I'm drawing a blank on his name. But he did a good job. I just don't. I never saw him as Batman. I like the costume. I don't like the mask. But to me, I always thought it was a small version of Batman. But he played the part fantastic. He did a great job. The 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 agitation, the sadness, the vengeance. That's Batman. So he got it right. Black Spider says Batman cult got me into Batman. Later on in life, I got to read Frank Miller's. Awesome. Derek says I think Reeves trilogy can overtake Nolan trilogy, but we'll see. It's a that's a tough thing to say. I gotta say, when I first saw the joke, the Riddler, I was a little bit taken aback. Like, wow, you really changed the character. But when you think about the Riddler, how ridiculous the character is, nobody can get away with doing that and be in a serious movie, right? Can't happen. So they did a good job making him the way he was. Paul Dano was tremendous. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Prisoners. If you have kids, do not watch that fucking movie because you will be terrified. I tell my wife, and I saw this before I get married. I said, don't ever watch that because you won't be able to sleep again. He was fantastic in that one, and that's a character he reminded me of as the Riddler as well. Very, very good. The Penguin, as Derek says, awesome show. He was great in the movie as well. Another great scene from that film was when he's being chased by Batman and he thinks he's got him, and then all of a sudden you see the Batmobile jump through the freaking fire, through the truck on the fire, and he just his face was like, oh shit, that's what you want. And I thought that was a great movie. Like I said, that blew my expectations away how good that film was. And I've heard all intents and purposes that the script for Batman 2 is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm excited to see what they have. I think the one thing that got me is that they came out with this movie too soon after the Nolan trilogy. That's what kind of made me say, why are they doing this? Those trilogy was perfect. But I can't fault anything the guy did. It was a really great movie. The only thing I could say is that I thought the actor for Batman, like I said, he did a great job, but I don't see him as Batman. It doesn't look like Batman to me. Other than that, it was a really perfect movie. Never know the Riddler can sing. Ave Maria. I don't want a copyright strike. But yeah, he was a total fucking psycho in that movie, and I loved it. The one thing I will say about also, I forgot, at the end with the Joker, I did not like how the Joker looked. I thought he was too grotesque looking. Made no sense to me for the Joker to look like that in this franchise. I just thought it was too far off from the character, way too far off. So hopefully they fix that in the next one. But other than that, I can't, and I'm hearing that it's either the Court of Owls or it's Hush, and I'm kind of leaning towards Hush. Could be both for all I know. But what really gets me is James Gunn and his take on Batman. And everybody should be afraid after watching that Superman movie of what he's going to do to Batman. Because whether you like Superman or you didn't like Superman, I thought it was okay. I just thought it was a really campy take on Superman where I figured we're going to get an emotional movie because Superman is supposed to be an emotional character on everything that he stands for, and he stood for it in the film, but it wasn't emotional enough, not even close. And I thought he tried to do too much in the film. So I'm afraid that he's going to make a campy Batman, and it's not going to be a dark, brooding, pissed off Batman. It's going to be silly, and he's going to be no matter how he looks. I don't care. I think he'll get the look right because I think you got the Superman look right. It's just I think it'll be too silly, and I think that's not what you want from the darkest character mentally, at least from a hero's perspective. Pattinson, that was the name. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. He Robert Pattinson. He was very surprising to me in the role because I didn't know like that he could take that kind of anger and turn it into a character. Like that wasn't what I was expecting. Like Christian Bale's take on the character wasn't out of anger. It was about devoting his life to his basically his father. That's what the movie was about, and his parents' death. And you didn't really have anger and grief out of Christian Bale in those films. Whereas that's why the Matt Reeves movie got it, because you got all the anger and the depression and everything that he gets that you don't really get to see in some of the movies. So that's what made me love that movie as well, outside of the acting and the Gotham, because I think they got Gotham right as well. It's very, you know, I don't know the word to use, but they got Gotham right. I thought that was a great take on Gotham as well. Oh my God, the suicide. I agree. Jared Leto was awful, absolutely awful, horrible take on the Joker whatsoever. I couldn't even watch it. I'm not gonna once I saw him dressed up as a Joker with the hair and the tattoos everywhere and the fucking bling on his teeth, I said, "Nope, not happening. Not happening." Was never gonna watch that shit. And sad because Leto's a good actor. He really is. And I'm hoping that he fills the role of Skeletor, because when we talk about villains that I grew up with, Skeletor is right at the top, right at the top, and it's an iconic for me. So if they fuck this up, you're going to see me. I've said this on one of my videos before. I will run into the fucking screen at the movie theater and tear the fucking shit down. I'm not gonna lie to you. Mike Oliver, what's going on, my friend? Mighty, big fan of the channel. I found you about 6 months ago. I'm the same age as you in. It's crazy you and I share a lot of nostalgia and upbringing. Motu is my jam growing up as well. Man, dude, oh, that's continuation. But I'm a Dolphins fan. Not that we have any room to brag, but we beat them Jets Monday night. Yeah, man. Jets are not playing well right now. Neither are the Dolphins, but we'll see how it turns out at the end, my friend. But I agree. If you grew up in the 1980s, like, and you were a child, you probably loved Mass Universe, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats. Um, there are other things you remember, like Care Bears, Teddy Ruxpin, stuff like that, Nintendo Power, Nintendo itself, maybe the Atari 2600, maybe the Sega Genesis. So I would say 1985 was the pinnacle of civilization. After that, like we just started going like this a little bit every year. But but yeah, that's it, man. I'm excited for New York Comic Con. I'm excited for everything that's going on right now. It's funny because I posed a question on my YouTube page the other day about buying comics. And do you guys buy comics on Instagram? Do you buy comics on YouTube live sales? And it was shocking to see the response I got, because I thought more people bought on live streams. And to be honest, about a third of the people said that they do. A third said no. And the other third said it's very rare that they do that. So I'm shocked. And can anybody who has bought off a live sale tell me why they do it, why they don't do it? If you're in the chat, or maybe you're watching this on the rewind or listening on the rewind, uh, why do you prefer other platforms? Because I do think right now you're getting the best bang for your buck on these live sales. Obviously, there's been for a while now, a lot of people have known that, if you go to a con, that, they're usually overpriced, the books. I'm not saying all the dealers are like that, because they're not, but a lot of them are, more money than you would if you go to like a local show or your LCS, the good LCSs, I'll say, or Instagram or YouTube. So I'd be interested to hear if anybody has a comment on that. The only reason I asked is because many of you guys have known, if you watch my channel for a little bit, like I think I'm going to be ending my professional career, like what I do for work, at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, or at some point early next year. I don't know the timing yet. And I was thinking about doing something in the space, in the collectible space, because the way my profession is set up right now, it's really hard for me to find something that I'm going to enjoy doing. So I think I'm going to leave that behind, or maybe only do it part-time. And I'd love to do something in the collectible space, whether it's host my own live show where I can host some other collectors, talk about things, sell some books, maybe some dealers do the same thing, stuff like that. So I'm just kind of placing it all together to see if it's worth it to do it or not. But that's something that I have in the back of my mind on on if I could use the platform to help other collectors sell their collection and use the platform also to, help other dealers maybe sell books that, they may find hard to sell at a show because they got to spend money to set up and do all that stuff. So where they could sell books to cheaper to other collectors who want to buy books as well. So that's something I may take up at some point as well. We'll see. But right now we're just kind of focused on content and putting good stuff out there. Hopefully I'm doing that. But that you guys tell me. Do you guys, and again, I'll remind you if somebody wants that there's a live link here at the beginning of the comments. I have it pinned. If somebody wants to jump on and just talk about comics, about New York Comic Con, about anything, then I'm going to be here for a bit because I really have nothing going on. I've actually been on for about an hour already, which is shocking. And then, of course, I'll remind you that if you wanted to do a giveaway, we have a total of 14. I said 10 super chats or a total of $50. I will give it away. We'll run a giveaway as well. That's up to you guys though. We already have $14. You only need another. What is that? 14. Shit, man. $36 if anybody's interested, or 10 or 9 more super chats. But that's up to you guys. Hold on a second. Black Spider says, if you don't know, across a street of New York Comic Con is the Street Comics Cell. I have no idea what you mean by that, brother. Across the street from New York Comic Con is what? Is the Street Comics Cells. I'm not sure I follow you, brother. So across the street from the Javits is a parking lot on one side. On the other side is the West Side Highway. On the other side there's really nothing. It's like the exit, and there's like a ton of people looking to give you a cab ride, or like the what are those fucking things called? Like you jump in the back and they pedal you around the city. I forget what they're called, but and then there's the one other side which I don't know what's on there. I heard once that WB once shut down a Batman Beyond animated movie in the art style of Into the Spider-Verse. That would have been awesome. It'll translate well from the comics to movies. I think eventually you're going to get it. If James Gunn, I think, sticks as the head of DC, and we don't even know if that's going to happen because I heard that if Warner sells DC, or if Warner's gets sold, that James Gunn is out. Which I still to this point I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because he's only given us one movie. I think The Peacemaker has been awesome. I haven't seen season 2 yet. First season was great, and I think that's where James Gunn excels in taking a character like Peacemaker and making him relevant and making him funny, because that's the type of character that should be made funny, not Superman. So I think with some of the beloved characters, the bigger characters, I don't know if he can get away with it, but the characters like Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, no question, like that's his specialty. But I think Batman Beyond definitely could happen. I think you're more likely to get an animated series than you will a live action right now. But down the road, who knows? So he says there are street vendors selling comics and things. There's a park too where people stop by. I did not know that. I did not know that. And I've been to New York Comic Con, like I said, 6, 7 years in a row. And I have never seen anybody selling comics outside the venue. Unless it's on, like I said, there's one side that I've never been on, and that's the total opposite side of the Javits that I've never exited out that side. I've always go out the regular main entrance. So I never head down that way. So it's possible. I don't know if I'd want to be buying comics on the street, but there's a lot of shitty characters hanging outside the Javits. There's always somebody trying to scam you into taking one of their CDs and then you giving them money for it. So if you're new to New York City, be careful, folks. There's still some crackpots out there. Derek says Peacemaker is great. It's guns in a nutshell, wacky, funny, and heartfelt. 100%. And that's what he's, like I said before, that's what he's great at. He's absolutely fantastic in taking a character like Peacemaker and turning him into somebody that somebody loves, just like Guardians. Like that's his thing. I thought Suicide Squad, it was better than the original, but I still don't think it was that good. So, but maybe because he was working with something previous. I can't answer it. Mike says, "Yeah, I don't think it gets better than '80s cartoons. Everything we had growing up was a banger. The toys are better too. I don't know if you looked at some of these modern toys, they're fucking awful. Oh my god, I don't know how kids today play with any of these action figures. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the Marvel Legends are cool, but outside of that, like some of them are just god awful, man. It's like looking at it like, what the hell is this? They made everything bigger, blockier, just too hard to play with, and the ideas are non-existent anymore. Everything is like a rehash of something else or anime. I mean, I'm just not into it. I don't know if you'd notice, but if you're they're starting to recreate a lot of these '80s toys. Obviously, Master Universe they've done over. Transformers has been around forever. They've reissued Thundercats. They're actually reissuing the wrestling superstars, believe it or not, on the original card backs, the blue card backs. So all these '80s toys are being reissued because they can't think of anything else. And I like the reissues, don't get me wrong, but then they take it too far, right? Then they start giving us characters that don't exist. They start meshing characters like Thundercats and Master Universe to become like the one figures. They're absolutely ridiculous. Now they have Master Universe and Transformers mashups. Awful. So he says it's on 35th and 38th Street, 10th Avenue. All right, so 38th is the main entrance to the Javits, and 10th, I believe, is either the next street or one street down. I don't remember what street the Javits cross sects with, but 35th Street. That's the thing. That's down a couple of blocks. I bet you that is the opposite side of the Javits that I never have been to, believe it or not. Gunn would kill a Booster Gold TV show. It would be a masterpiece. I agree 100%. Another character that I think that he would run wild with. Facts. Be careful of the some people. Never give your phone to anyone. Why would anyone give their phone to somebody? Like, what do they ask for? Like, would they just run away with it? I mean, I would never do that anyway. I was always nervous bringing my kid, especially when he was young, because you never know these crazies hanging outside. What's wild is people ask for like your ticket to go back in. Like if you leave and then you go back, they ask for your ticket. Like, okay, you going back in? Can I have your ticket so I can go? I'm like, dude, really? That's insanity. I don't think they're going to get rid of James Gunn. I think he said he would quit if Warner sells. So that's the thing. So I don't think he'd quit. I think he said that he would be done if Warner sells. But it really depends on if they're making money or not, right? I heard that they were up for sale. So I mean, I hate to for have to him to start this and then they sell and then he leaves and then what? Then DC's left in the loop again. I don't know. Is anybody sending anything to CGC for the Todd McFarlane signing? I had a couple people reach out to me and asking what they should send in. Angry Strike Mail says the Jets going to beat the Cowboys Sunday. I can guarantee you they're not. Right now, their defense is an atrocity. Not that the Cowboys are much better, but um, no fucking way. No way. It might be close, but there's no way I say they're beating the Cowboys. And I don't think Cowboys are that good. And they have no pass rush. So I think the Jets will be able to run the ball. So it'll be close, but their defense is just way too bad. And I don't know what's happened because the Jets used to have a strong defense. Same players too. So regardless, um, that's it, man. I'm just like I said, I'm hanging out. Anybody have any comic book stuff they want to talk about? I just like I said, I'm just shooting the shit tonight. Bored as fuck. Let me go on. Let me go out and see who's out there, who wants to chat. And like I said, the link is in there. If anybody wants to hop on, you're more than welcome to. Um, that's it. It seems like a lot of people have left the hobby. Or let me rephrase that. A lot of people have stopped buying comics. So they might be still in the hobby where they go check things out, but they don't buy a lot of stuff. They may go to a show and walk around, check it out, just to give them something to do. But I feel like a lot of people don't buy shit. So I don't know if that's because they're afraid. I don't know if that's because maybe they just don't want to spend the money because of the way the economy is. Maybe because they're afraid because everything that's going on in the world right now. So I have a smudge in my glass that says the Cowboys can't play dead if their lives depended on it. So I was reading like a something on Instagram. This I forgot the whole spiel, but it was like it had me laugh because the last line was about the Cowboys, and the whole thing post wasn't even about football. It was just like, oh, it got me. It made me laugh. Chef, what's going on, man? Chef, are you going to New York Comic Con this year? I know you've gone in the past. I don't know if you're heading up this year. I was wondering if I could show you guys something. Do you guys want to see any comics in the room or something like that? Is there anything you guys want to see that I could take down? I could do that. I mean, I get some pretty cool things on the wall. I could show you. I could take down some Spidey books. I could take one of my couple of my slabs. You guys tell me. Oh, here we go. Run me through said, yeah, the market is still dropping. You told me to buy a Hulk when anyone. I lost my ass. I'd still buy it and hold on. I've been saying that for a while. If you want to buy a book right now, I've been saying it on my channel for a while. You got to be a 20-year holder. 20-year holder. It's okay, man. I'm not perfect. I lost money. Everybody lost money in this market. If you bought at a certain point and you try to sell a certain point later, man, I don't take offense to that at all. I'll own it. I lost money in a Batman 1 that I bought. So it's not just you, my friend. I think it's a lot of people. And that's probably what the drove the masses out. But to me, I just feel like the live sale numbers are down, like from what I've seen. And it could also be because live sales, like everybody and their grandmother does live sales now. It could be that because there's oversaturation. I feel like when you go to a con, everything's overpriced. So like because everything's available, I think it drives it down. Like if you like what's the point of buying things if you could get them any point, right? That's the whole thing. Like at 2020, 2021, you'd have to type the word of what the book was or claim or whatever the fuck it was, like before the person even said what the book was. Now you can make 25% lower offers than what they're asking for on the book and get it. So that's the whole point. I'm thinking about sending my ASM 300 I picked up this past year at my LCS. Yeah, I mean that to me, if I'm going to get a book signed by Todd, that would probably be the one. I have that book signed by Todd as well. 100%. They're probably on top of my list. 316 would be the second one probably on my list. The one I think would be cool if you can get his first published art. What was it? That stupid. What was it? What was the? It's a stupid ass book. A really dumb name, but like that would be cool because it's the first published thing. But I think he's known for Spawn and he's known for Spider-Man. I think if you get an Error Malibu's son, the greenback, and have him sign it, that's probably the best financial move you could make if you had one of those and have him sign it. Because I think you get a really big bump out of that price wise. But I agree with the ASM 300 probably be number 2 on that list. Killer Money. Great name, brother. I've back into collecting comics the last couple of years, but I rarely buy anything new. It's 99% back issues. No, I agree. Now, when you say back issues, you mean keys or just like filler stuff, books that you like, covers, or maybe you're trying to fill a run. So, Killer Money, let me know. I don't buy new books. I don't buy new stuff either. I buy only vintage back issues. Like occasionally, if somebody recommends a trade paperback, or if I go to my LCS and they got something like, oh, this looks pretty cool, I'll buy it and read it. Very rarely do I pick up single issues. I was picking up Mark Spears Monsters for a bit. I stopped that just because there's too many covers. I can't keep up with all that. I just picked the ones that I like and went from there. But then I got out of it, even though I love his art. So I also own the Origins line, and I have all of them except for like the new bullshit that they pull out. So if they made an original figure like in the 80s and they put out an Origin figure, I own it. But If they didn't put out an Origins figure, if they didn't put out an original figure and they put out an Origins figure, I didn't buy it because I don't have nostalgia for it. So I have all of them as well. Derek says, I sold my car to go all in on Turlock ones. Thanks for the tip. No problem, my friend, brother. That's one thing I can guarantee I did not tell you to buy that. Run me through. I'd probably send my Hulk 340 and Spawn 1 to get signed by Todd. The Hulk is already graded, though, so I don't know if I trust them cracking it out and doing all that with horror stories I've heard. 340 is a tough one. Um, you don't see them that often signed by Todd. I just think yeah, it's an iconic cover by him. I'm not going to say it's not, but I don't. Wolverine doesn't resonate with Todd McFarlane for me outside of that book. Same with the Batman 423 doesn't resonate with Todd McFarlane. That's why I wouldn't do it, but I totally understand why you would. Such an iconic cover. Mildo Miller, what's going on, my friend? I've never bought a live sale just because I never have. I'm not sure how payment and stuff works, just haven't dipped in. So the payment's actually really simple. Like if you claim something, they send you direct message the next day, or if you're on the YouTube, they message you the next day saying, "This is the book you claimed. You could send me a payment via friends and family, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, shit like that." And then they send you the book. Give them the address to send you the book. You got to be careful because you have to know the person you're buying from. And when I say that, like consignment pages like Elite Comics 11, some of the other ones like I can vouch for, but YouTube, obviously, if I were to do something, you guys know me. I don't think I've ever had a complaint in the community that I know of. So I have smudge on my glasses as Avengers Doomsday. People think it's mainly about Doom. FF49 cover says, if this be Doomsday, what if Doomsday movie is more about the conclusion of Galactus returning? Also, FF movie was about FF48. Nah, it's about Doom. I think he's going to get his origin of why he wants to take over. And it's really going to be played out how he wants to save the multiverse. And that's how it is in the comics. And that's how I think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to stray too far. There's going to be a little couple things that they are going to stray from, but I don't think it's about FF49. That's it. Coyote, what is it? The rest of it, the McFarlane cover. You got part of it. Black Spiders. The 423 you talking about? Are you talking about year 2? What are you talking about? Batman comic. Because Richards talked about 47 crime syndicates, and immediately after you get Silver Surfer appearing. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it. Vinny Whitlock, what's going on, man? Tacoma Geek, what's going on? I love the picture of your dog in there, man. I have the opportunity to purchase a World by Night 32 for 2,100 white pages. I feel this book has room to further dips. Is this a book you'd recommend or pass and put the funds toward ASM keys? I'm a fan of both. If you're asking me, I'm always going to buy silver over bronze. There's no question to me, especially when it comes to Spider-Man. I happen to love World by Night cover 32, one of the best covers from the Bronze Age, in my opinion. The purples really stand out. But if you ask me what I'd rather own, Werewolf by Night or Amazing Spider-Man, I'm going to want to own Amazing Spider-Man. And when I say Amazing Spider-Man, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 13, 14, 15, and 20. And I'll include 50 in that as well. Those are books that I want to own before Werewolf by Night 32. There's no question in my mind. And I'll also say, if you want to buy a Werewolf by Night 32, any Bronze Age comic, this is a long-term hold. No questions asked, because there's so many copies out there of these things. I can't see anybody wanting to buy them if you're not going to hold on to them for a long time. That's it. If I was still buying bronze, there's about 10 books, I say it all the time, that I want to own. Giant Size X-Men 1, Incredible Hulk 181, Marvel Spotlight 5, Amazing Spider-Man 129, Tomb of Dracula 10. Did I say Werewolf by Night 32 yet? That's one of them. Hulk 180 also, if you don't have 181, or if you do, I'd have them both. That's fine. Amazing Spider-Man 194 for me, because I'm a Spidey guy. It doesn't mean you have to own it, but that's one of the ones I'd want to own. I'm missing a couple here as well. I'm drawing a blank, but those are like you see the books I'm going for, right? I'll include X-Men 94 in there if you can't go out and get Giants as X-Men 1, but that I'd rather have Giants as X-Men 1, no questions asked first. If you're an X-Men fan, that's the book I want to own if you can't get Silver Age. So, but if you're asking me if I want to own Silver Age Spider-Man, I want to own that before I want to own anything else because that's just who I am. And I also think one you can get rid of them a lot faster as well because everybody wants to own those books because they're just highly desirable. Tacoma Geek, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I've been doing this for 7 years, believe it or not. The guy I had it on the channel yesterday on the podcast, he's been doing it 8 years. He's doing a lot better than me, but it's been a fun time, man. I gotta say, my life has changed for the better because of you guys, and not just because of the content, because of the people I've met. Doing this type of thing really makes me happy. I've always felt like I've had a little bit of a creative bug in me, so this kind of fills that void a little bit. So, which is really good. So I appreciate the great comments, man. Thank you so much. He's hanging in there like a loose tooth, but he's moving forward. Keep hanging in there, brother. No, not Coyote the Heat. I forget the full what now I gotta look this up. It's Coyote McFarlane's first published work. And I gotta look it up now. Coyote 11. That's it. Why did I think it was called something else? Regardless, that was it. It's kind of a stupid book to have him sign, but I get why you'd want him to sign it. It's his first work. I mean, I understand why you want him to get Batman 423 signed, especially with the original art being up for sale right now. But I just don't know, man. If I had to choose, McFarlane doesn't ring synonymous with Batman. That's why I don't know if I'd want him to sign that one. But everybody has his thing. Like I totally get it. Like it makes sense though. He drew the cover, so it totally makes sense. You guys remember 182 how expensive it was during 2020, 2021? It was insane 182. I couldn't believe how expensive it was. And I can get it for like $100. So even less sometimes in lower grades. So I'm glad that like that was one that I never like really went deep in. Tacoma says I work at a retail pharmacy as well, and we've had people take dumps down the aisles. I feel your frustrations, man. It's tough, man. Anything retail related right now is super tough. Super, super tough. Derek says ASM 298 would be cool. First Todd on Spidey. Absolutely. So it's you want to see something cool? Actually, I don't think I have it up there, but I think I've told this story before. I bought either a 298 or a 299. And I think it was 298. It wasn't first cameo of Venom, but I bought a raw 298. And I think I got it off of eBay. And I got it, went through it, ended up opening up the book on the splash page. It's signed by Todd. And it wasn't mentioned anywhere on the listing. How awesome is that? His first work on Spider-Man, on Amazing Spider-Man, and I on the splash page is a signature of his. How awesome is that? It's wild. So I still have that book. That's what you need. Like back in the day when you're buying stuff, because nobody did that shit. Like forget it. Like you don't see that now. So I don't know if you guys know this, but last time my my freaking screen expanded. It's doing it again. Goddamn restream. All right. Well, regardless, as long as you guys can see me, all good. So it's a Coma Geek. I see your question. Okay, last question. We're up by night 3292 versus Batman 22785. So let me ask you this question before I answer your question. And I don't mind questions. I enjoy the questions, guys. So if you have others, please drop it in the chat. Why do you want to own super high grade stuff? Now, I tell you guys all the time that if you're going to buy bronze, definitely buy higher grade. So you're doing the right thing when it comes to that because these are both Bronze Age books. Excuse me. So I'm going to ask you a question, Tacoma. Why do you want to own such high grade bronze books? Because they're both expensive in those high grades. Now, is it because you just want to own the high grades, which I tell you all the time, buy high grades, but I the amount that these two books cost in high grade, I'd rather take that money and buy a lower grade Silver Age key. So just explain to me your reasoning. I'm not saying you're wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. But that's something I want to ask everybody because I'm the type of collector. I'd rather own a Silver Age book in a lower grade than a higher grade Bronze Age book because I don't know. Maybe I'm more attached to the Silver Age. That's just me. But to answer your question, I'd probably say I'd rather own the Werewolf by Night 32, and I'm the minority because I think most people would want the Batman 227, but the 32 is a higher grade, and I don't know the values of each. I'm assuming they're the same. I might be wrong, but it's to each his own. What's easier to move? The Batman 227. There's no question. So maybe you might want to lean towards that. Uh, Me personally, I'd probably go with the 32. I don't know why. I feel like I see Batman 227s a lot, and I don't see Werewolf by Night 32s in high grade like that all the time. And that's where my thinking goes. Todd said he did that 423 cover hella fast by just drawing the cape, and I can't unsee the coloring mistakes he has. Yeah, I get you. It's still an iconic cover. And I just think anything Todd draws is just remarkable. You guys ever watch him on his Facebook lives? He doesn't do them as much anymore. He used to draw on his Facebook lives, like right from scratch on his on this giant tablet thing that he has that he draws now on. Dude, you watch him draw, and it looks like, wow, that's incredible. And then he looks like he fucks it up. Almost like a Bob Ross. You ever watch Bob Ross back in the day? It looks like, oh man, he fucked it up now. And then all of a sudden, he finishes it and it looks amazing. I'm like, oh man, he's just such a freaking incredible artist that you think he screwed it up and then he just turns it even better than you thought it was going to be. So like Bob Ross is the same way growing up as a kid, even though Bob was a painter, obviously, but just incredible to watch like a master like Todd at work. And I used to love watching him do those Facebook lives. Chef, I'm glad to see you're going to your Comic Con. I will be there Friday if you're going to be there, but I hope prices are decent too. But I'm not holding my breath, my man. There's no way. Derek says, yes, always check your interiors, especially every silver and bronze. You might win the signature lottery. Yeah, man. That was the first time that's ever happened to me before. And now you just can't sell it, right? I can never sell that book because it's like a piece of my history now that I opened that up from eBay and it was there, which is wild. Great question. And I have an answer. Let me respond with thought. Okay. You let me know, Tacoma Geek. Black Spider says, I am a Wolverine fan. To have 181 would mean a lot to me. So I'll pose another question to you then. To the chat, to you, Black Spiders. Again, my camera's going in and out of focus. Why not? I mean, we all buy books, right? We all buy things because we like to see them. We like the covers, we like the characters. But like, if you're a big Wolverine fan, why not just save up the money and buy a 181? Even if it's in a lower grade and you just want to own the book, like, why buy other shit if you just really want that book? Why not just save and buy that book? I asked this question to a lot of people and nobody can give me a good answer. Um, so I know it's hard not to go to these Comic Cons and go there without spending money, but like if that's the book you really want, put a couple bucks aside every couple of weeks, every month, whatever, until you could get the book. I mean, that's the basic thing. Don't spend money on some other stuff that you may want and just say, this is what I got to focus on. This is what I really want. But if that's would mean a lot to you, then that's what your goal should be. All right. So Tacoma says, Wolf by Night is my birth year comic. Coincidentally, I own a MK1 9.2 Newsy with bronze keys, the higher the grade for long term. Well, I agree with the high grade. There's no question in my mind that if you're going to buy bronze, buy the higher grade. I agree. So you own a Moon Knight 1 9.2 Newsy. It's your birth, your comics. You got an attachment to the to book. So I get it, but you still didn't answer me. Would you rather have a Silver Age book, or is just like you're just like Moon Knight is your thing? If Moon Knight's your thing, then obviously you have to go with the book, right? That makes the most sense. Just like I said to Black Spiders, if Wolverine's your guy, save up for that 181 because that's what's going to make you whole. For me, I always said this. AF-15 for me was like that. That was the comic that was going to make me whole. If I could own no other book, that's the one I wanted. I have a smudge on my glasses. So would you be buying Ultimate Endgame 1 blind bags for a chance of one-on-one comic covers? The answer is absolutely not. I am not the gambler when it comes to that stuff, especially with modern books. Like I'm not the modern guy. I'm not the gambler when every once in a while, like back in the day, I would do a mystery box. I'll do like a pack rip. But if I'm gonna go in blind, I'd rather go in blind with something I have a fondness for. Like I'll buy like a vintage Garbage Pail Kids pack and open that and see what I get. I'd rather have that kind of fun than buy a blind bag of a book that I don't really care about the one of one cover because I don't. It's not my thing. So to answer your question, no. The one thing I forgot to mention when we are talking about New York Comic Con is Courtyard IO is going to be there this year, the big new gambling collectibles site. So I might have to check out them as well. See if I can get them to do a quick interview. I'm not sure if how packed it's going to be. I'm sure it'll be mobbed because that's the big thing now is gambling on collectibles. So it's unlikely, but I definitely have to stop by the booth because that seems to be like the new it thing when it comes to comics and collectibles. Do you have a pull box or LCS and do you still get new comics or focus on older stuff? What's the last thing you picked up a new comic? So no, I do not have a pull box. I go to my LCS like once a month at least. I may actually head there tomorrow morning. So when I go there, I will buy a new book if I really love a cover. Like I said before, I was buying Mark Spears Monsters for a while, straight off the rack. um, if I find something that's recommended to me, I'll say, "Hey, can you hold it for me?" And if they have it, they will. So do I go there looking for new comics though? No. I will go there, look to their back usually. I'll go there, look for their wall books. I'll go there looking for like vintage toys because they have some of that stuff too that they get in through collections. They have video games as well. I'll go there looking for that. But every once in a while, I'll scroll through the new books because they have a giant selection of new books. Like one of the biggest things I've seen from new book selection. And I'll go through them, see if anything piques my interest. Again, but most of the time, I will pick up a trade paperback before I pick up a floppy, like a single. But no pull list for sure. If I could find a 181 for a good price, I would. To be honest, I don't see it on sale much, even low grade. Well, what do you mean on sale? Like under like last sale, under the average price? Is that what you mean? Because I mean, it is a premium book, right? It's probably one or two. It's either number one or two of the Bronze Age keys. It's I'll say Giant says X-Men 1 is up there as well as being number one. That's always going to be my number one book, only because it's harder to find in high grade because of the square bound, the white cover. Even though I think like a 7.0 is like the most common graded grade for that book, which is weird. But I'd still rather own that one first. That's just my opinion. But again, when you say good price, you mean for a steal. Another thing I'm actually thinking of doing while you're bringing this up is actually trying to find books for people. Not that it's hard to find books, but if you're looking for a certain grade, certain page quality, certain presentation, and you want it for a deal, that's something I may try to set up as like a finder's fee type of thing if anybody wanted. People who don't shop on Instagram, people who don't shop on YouTube, or maybe don't have the time to look for some of this stuff. That's something I may set up as well. That one I answered already. What do you think of Ultimate Endgame one in 1,000 pre-selling listing for over $1,000 to $3,000? You want my answer to this stuff? Nobody's gonna like my answer to this stuff because I think anybody who spends money on this type of shit is out of their minds. Okay? And I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't understand why anyone would pay that kind of money for something that has no meaning. I understand it's a 1 in 1,000. I understand even if it's a one of one. If there's no significant meaning to something, then why are we spending that kind of money on it? Like, I can understand someone paying, 5 figures for an AF-15 because there's meaning behind it. I could see someone spending $100,000 on a Batman 1 because there's meaning behind it. Some of the variant stuff, like, I'm all for it. If you wanna spend 20 bucks on a variant cover because you love the cover art, no questions asked, go buy it. Even $50, go buy it. Makes you happy, go buy it. But when we're getting into the range of $1,000, $3,000 for this type of shit, that's just for me, it's throwing your money away. It's gambling, right? It's sort of gambling. I don't know. But that's what's in right now. People are that's what people like. People like the mystery. People like the gambling aspect of all this stuff. I've never been like that. I like to gamble, but if I'm gonna gamble, I'm gonna go play cards at a casino. I'm gonna go fucking play poker. Like that's me. I'm not gonna spend 3 grand. What could you get? You could get a Hulk 181 for 3 grand. You can go get a Tales of Suspense 39 for grand. Journey into Mystery 83, low grade, but I'd rather have that. At least there's meaning behind that. You can get a mint on card He-Man for that. What grade and price point are you looking for and comfortable with on the 181? I've been eyeing an ASM 50, but also a 20. I see your point. I also agree that silver over bronze. I mean, it's personal preference, right? All these books, silver, bronze, there's more than enough copies for everybody. So if you want to own both, you own both. That's the way I look at it. I've always said what I've learned over my time collecting is that I want to get the biggest books first. Why? Because when you fulfill your greatest desire first, and usually that's a bigger book, you don't really tend to spend money on other things. So if you're buying all the little things now, you keep always searching to buy the bigger thing, the bigger thing, the bigger thing. Whereas if you buy the bigger thing first, maybe you don't want the little things anymore. And I think you end up saving money in the long run. Plus, the bigger thing in the long term, in my opinion, is always a better bet financially. Unless you're buying, blind bags or one 1,000 stuff. But if you're buying like a significant key issue and it's a bigger book, it's been 60 years for Silver Age books plus. It's been, a little bit less than that for Bronze Age books. So I mean, I think by this time, all these books are going to hang around. We're talking 30, 40 years, maybe they're forgotten, but I don't also don't think that's happening either. So Tacoma says modern garbage. The one thing I'll say about modern books is the art. The art's incredible. A lot of them, it's just incredible art. But you shouldn't have to pay a premium for something that's highly printed that has incredible art, right? That's just my opinion. There is no significance to it outside of incredible art. How many foils do they print of books that have been printed years ago? How many, exclusives are they giving out that have been, remade now that they've been printed years ago? So that's the thing. Like, what's the significance of it? Because it's a one of whatever now. I never understood that. Yeah. Vinny, would you rather have a Michael Turner signature in ASM 212 Mark Jewelers? What's 212? There's no key significance, right? I'm just trying to think what the issue is. So that's actually Hydro Man. Oh, I'll probably take the Turner signature. Because you could find a 212 anywhere. I know it's a Mark Jewelers, but it also depends on the grade of the 212. If it's a 9.8, I'll probably go with the 212. If it's like a regular, a lower grade copy, I would say you probably find that moreover. So I'd probably go with the Turner signature. Tacoma Key says, I got back into comics over a divorce and my father's death in 2021. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Worst time because of the pandemic spike. I discovered whatnot, I'm assuming that means, and painfully affected my wallet buying crap with no attachment. Do you mean whatnot? Is that what WN stands for? I'm assuming that's what you mean. Um, I don't like shitting on companies. I don't like doing that, but if it is whatnot that you're talking about, like I love the platform. I think it's a really great platform to buy things, auction style. I think it's a great idea. But the stuff that's being sold there and the stuff that's being promoted there, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing of meaning. It's just let me find the easiest way and a fun way to sell you shit that I normally wouldn't be able to sell. And that's what I believe that is for the most part. So we get caught up in that stuff as human beings. We get caught up in, you know, this is fun. And whatnot is fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you could sit on a sale if someone's really engaging and someone's really witty and they have some cool stuff, some great covers. You get caught up and you buy stuff because you want to be involved. But at the end of the day, you know, how we survive in this world, unfortunately, is financially. And I don't think these companies take that into consideration. And nor they should. They're trying to make money. I understand that. But that's why I steer clear of whatnot. A lot of people will say Instagram live sales are the same thing. YouTube live sales are the same thing, but I don't know. I feel like the Instagram live sales are a little better, a little bit more self control. That's just my feelings. But I'm sorry about the divorce. I'm sorry, or maybe we're happy about the divorce. I don't know, my man. It depends how you look at it. I'm sorry about dad though, 100%. My dad got sick a year ago. Um, he's doing better now, but he's still dealing with stuff that I think he'll deal with for his entire life. But it's scary. So my heart goes out to you, my friend. But I will say this one last thing. You know, sometimes you go through stuff and you have, the comics and the toys and all the stuff that we hold dear that we remember, growing up as kids or growing up with your parents or your family members. Sometimes, hanging on to those things and buying some of those things that you had a fondness for really does help. So maybe try to focus on some of the stuff that you remember times with him or remember as a kid, because I think that would help you out. But that's just me. I'm an emotional guy. So Vinny says that the Hydro Man was a 9-ish. That's a tough one, dude. I'd probably go with the Turner signature. I'm not gonna lie. If it was a bigger key, I would say the Spider-Man book, but I'd probably go with the signature. That's just my opinion. You can go either way though. He says now he's being financially responsible with my love for comics, buying books with meaning with long-term value. That's what I think it should be. Um, but like I said before, like I always bring this up because it was brought to my attention by Swaggle when we did our live show together that people want to be involved. They want to be involved. So sometimes dipping your toe in the cheap stuff and the modern stuff is an easy way to be involved. So I understand that. But I also think over time they end up regretting it, right? I think as fans of some of the characters growing up, and I keep going back to nostalgia and growing up because that's where my love for this stuff originated, and that's why I collect a lot of the stuff that I do collect. Um, I think you feel better about it if you have that solid background. If you don't have that background in it, it becomes a lot harder and a lot easier to waste money. And yes, he did mean whatnot. Black Spider says, a great I feel like great people still talk about Michael Turner. He was awesome. I have a few signed books and one pencil drawing for him. That's why I agree. I think that the Michael Turner, unless it was super high grade, I'm going with the SIG. Ray, what's going on? I'm glad you're still here, man. I love pre-code horror. He said, what's your take on pre-code horror box? I love pre-code horror. Hold on. I got two right here. Actually, one right here. So I don't want to make this a show and tell unless you guys want to see something. So I like Bronze Age horror too, but like, here's a Bronze Age book. And like, if you like cool covers, I got this for $40. Melted ice cream face. I know it's bronze, but You asked about pre-code horror. So again, to me, this is one of the best pre-code horror covers that has ever been done. Dude getting his brains blown out right on the freaking cover, man. Right on the cover. You're dead with a chick in the background watching it happen. Um, so I love pre-code horror. I think it's some of the best art, especially cover art, there's ever been done. If you actually go and look in the interior of the books are better in pre-code horror than they are in Silver Age Spider-Man, the interior art. Uh, so I love it. For me personally, I would own more of it. But the problem with pre-code horror, unless you get some of the more favorable covers that a lot of people love, they're not really financially worth anything. Like you can get them for cheap. Um, but like this book right here, great pre-code horror cover. I paid $400, which to me is not a lot of money for an incredible cover like this. So it's a low grade. It's a 1518. Shout out Brickgo Comics. He's the one I got it from. But if that's like the area of like dollar amounts that you play in, you can get great pre-code horror covers for around 150 bucks. It's just you got to search. I know there are plenty on eBay. They might not be like as popular as this cover, but you can still get them for good amounts of money, like cheap amounts of money. For the more known covers like this, they're still affordable for me at 400. Yes, it's a lot of money, but like they're out there. You can get it. So I love pre-code horror. I used to have so many pre-code horror books. I sold them to fund other things. But from an art aspect, I don't think there was better art done ever in comics than pre-code. No question in my mind. I'm trying to go back. There we go. That's what I wanted. So that great question though, man. I love pre-code horror. Sticky Goose hates whatnot. That's where Comic Tom fleeced him for thousands of dollars and sent him down his villain path. Well, you know the saying, right? You either die a hero or see yourself live long enough to become the villain. So I give Sticky Goose a lot of credit for saying a lot of the shit that he said, whether you agree with him or not. I had him on the channel. We had a great conversation about why shit happens. But I got to be honest with you. I think a lot of collectors feel like they've got fleeced at a certain point in their collecting journey, right? I mean, I know I think I have. I've told this story before. I had a really bad experience at the very first New York Comic Con. I'm not talking about the original one, but then they took a break and then they came back. That first one, when they came back, I had a really bad experience with one of the dealers and just incredibly rude. So, again, what are you buying on whatnot? That's the whole point, right? And it's funny because I wasn't approached by them, but we've exchanged emails about me selling books on their platform. And I basically said to them, like, I'm not a reseller. I don't have books to sell. So for me, it's like it was never going to work. If you want to give me books to sell on your platform, I'd be glad to do it. Like if you have one-on-one, if you have blind bags, you want me to sell them on your platform, give them to me. I'll sell them for you. No problem. Like you want me to do that, I'm all for it. But if you're going to ask me to sell my own books on your platform, I'm not a reseller. So I don't do that type of shit. But like I said, sometimes you get, I hate to say it, but in collectible space, people get taken advantage of. It's not a good thing. Divorce was a good thing. Dad's death sucked, but endured. I'm a very good place today. Well, I'm happy to hear that, brother. Killer money. Imagine QVC 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but comic books. YouTube needs this. No auctions, just timed sales. That's an interesting premise, my man. I think anybody that's staying up all day long buying comics, though, man, that's a tough sell for me. I'm not saying it wouldn't work because it might, because you could buy anything, right? QVC, I mean, they sell garbage in the middle of the night, but people stay up and buy it. So you might be onto something there. But maybe you have like 6 hours dedicated to comics, 6 hours dedicated to toys, 6 hours dedicated to video games. Was it 18? You got another 6 hours left to what? Maybe late night we could sell, some X-rated VHS or some shit. You're onto something though, my friend. Good idea. Show away, man. I must have really behind on these messages. I showed you a couple books. Like I said, if you want to see, I have some cool other books. If you want to see them, I'm glad to show them. I like his content. I like his openness and candid videos, and I enjoyed his comedy. I think people take themselves too seriously and get offended too easily. I agree with you 100%. If you listen to the podcast I did with him, it's funny because we had a great conversation. In the conversation, I said to him, sometimes it's very cleansing to just sell the shit you don't want. Yeah, take the loss and just be done. Get him out of your fucking site. Done. Goodbye. Put whatever money you can in your pocket and take that money and put it into something that you really like. Either that or invest it and just make some extra income off of it. And that's what I think he's done after our conversation. You've seen him put out some YouTube videos about selling part of his collection. So I'm glad to see he's done that because I do think he's going to feel a lot better. Tacoma says he's been fleeced. I understand the what not fleecing, which led me to slabs. So what do you mean by that? Led you to slabs? You only buy slabs now because you've been burnt with raw? Explain yourself, Tacoma Geek. The real McCoy collector. What's going on? I like your avatar. An artist does their best work when you give them the freedom to be able to express themselves. That's what we got with pre-called horror, some amazing art. I agree with you, man. There's been some amazing original art pieces on Heritage for a pre-code horror, which I'm shocked how cheap they went. I'm like, they were very affordable. Like Bernard Bailey, interior page, skeleton for like $1,000. Awesome. For original art, that's cheap. From the golden age, incredibly cheap. I almost bought it. Shauna Rain, what's going on? Hey, what's up, sir? Just watching you and listening in while I change the battery on my late 90s WCW toy figures. Awesome. Wow. WCW 1990s. I was still in high school then. So no, you're good. I'm old. I graduated high school in 1995. So very old. I'm finally caught up with the chat. Do you guys want to see some books? Do you want me to pull something out? I gladly will. If not, like I said, we can keep going with the questions. I really enjoy answering some of your questions, guys. I can't tell you how I enjoy it. That's mainly why I do these lives, is take whatever questions you have and give you my best possible input. Because I understand, like, if you, whether you're a novice collector or not, whether you're, a experienced collector or not, everybody still makes mistakes. As an experienced collector, I made mistakes. So I just like hearing what other people enjoy as collecting, right? Like I want to hear what other people like as well. Like the comment about pre-code horror. Like I have so many great feelings about pre-code horror, even though I don't own a lot of the books anymore, because I feel like I have like enough money invested in what I have in comics. So I don't feel like I should be spending so much on every genre, right? I've After a while, you kind of narrow things down to the things that you absolutely love and want to be surrounded by. And for me, that's a lot of nostalgia stuff that I grew up with, like the He-Man, Thundercats, Batman, Spider-Man, stuff like that. How many comics do you actually have? Well, that's a great question. So I have a full run of Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 301. And I actually probably have like up to 320. Like whatever the McFarlane run ended on Amazing Spider-Man, I forgot what the issue was his last issue. I have up through that. I have 2 short boxes right there that contain the Amazing Spider-Man run, so that includes that. Uh, Man. So I have the 2 books I just showed you right here. I have another short box of comics. So the run, a short box of comics, a couple on my wall there, and then the slabs you see behind me, and that's it. So when I say the slabs you see behind me, there's 2, 4, 6, 3 up there is 9. 3, a short box of comics, my run, 9 comics behind me, and maybe 4 other books up on my wall there. Not a lot. 9, 4 is 13, a short box, and my run, and that's it. So not a lot. Not a lot. And that's by design, guys. I think I don't want to be surrounded by a million things. I really don't. It's too much. As you can see, I have other stuff. Like I have carded He-Man, I have carded Thundercats, I have Garbage Pail Kids. It's the other way. So right over this shoulder, right there is Garbage Pail Kids. Let me get it. Scooch the out of the way. Hold on. You could see you, you can see Amazing Spider-Man 50 there, a Hulk 1 there, my Amazing Spider-Man 1 right there, along with my AF-15. You can't see it. And then on this side, like you always see, I have an Action 12 and my Tech 27. I'm not going to show you. I've showed it before, but it's going to be an upcoming video about it. So I will save that because I have something done to the book. Oh my God, bro. 6,000 comics. I couldn't even imagine. I could not even imagine. 35 years, dude. I've been collecting just as long as you have. The problem is I've sold stuff. You know? I've been collecting since I was a kid. What's my favorite MCU movie? Also, can you rank the 3 actors who have played Spider-Man? Lastly, can you rank the 8 Spider-Man movies lowest to highest? Wow. My favorite MCU movie to this day, believe it or not, is the original Iron Man, the one that started it off. I absolutely love that movie. It was such a great movie. I like Origin, and I think that it's one of the best origins from the MCU. So if I had to say my number one, it would be that. The 3 actors who play Spider-Man, that's a tough one because I don't think we've gotten a true. I think Toby was the best Peter Parker. I think Spider-Man wise, like as body type, is Andrew Garfield. And I think the best movies have been Tom Holland. So my favorite, I guess as actors, I'll go with Toby. As movies, I'll go with the MCU Spider-Man. Can I rank my 8 Spider-Man movies lowest to highest? This is like crazy. I will go with Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock. That to me, still to this day, is the best Spider-Man. Number 2, I'll go No Way Home. I thought that was a really good story. Um, Jeez. Then I'll probably go with Spider-Man Homecoming and then Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. Oh, geez. And then I guess I'll go Far From Home, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, and then Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think I got all of them there. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was awful. Oh, god awful. I thought the Amazing Spider-Man 1 wasn't that great. I thought the Lizard was good, but I hated the suit in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. I thought it was god awful. Made no sense. So I the new Brand New Day is I'm looking forward to the movie more than anything because I finally feel like we're gonna get a real Spider-Man, like proper street level Spider-Man. We have yet to get one. Amazing Spider-Man was a street level Spider-Man, the first one, and I guess the first Spider-Man was as well, and the second. But like, we want to see him fight street criminals. Want to see him get like fight the Shocker and Scorpion, all these other villains. We're finally going to get. So I'm looking forward to that one the most. I hope they deliver. It's wild because I am waiting for a Venom to be done right, and I hope they do it. Hopefully, we'll see. But who knows? So that's I think that everybody's what they're waiting for is an Eddie Brock and a symbiote, and for Eddie Brock to get the symbiote and actually turn into Venom, we all want to see. Bernard Bailey is my favorite pre-code hard artist. There's no question. I just did a video about my top golden age comics of all time, and I don't know how we say there's a lot of great pre-code horror covers. Oh man, I think Black Cat Mystery is definitely up there. Suspense 3 is also up there. That's the most expensive non-superhero comic. I know my camera keeps going in and out. I don't know why. It's not my favorite cover, but I could understand why people love it so much. To me, I guess Black Cat Mystery 50 is such a great cover. The exploding cigarette, or whatever the fuck it is. It's such a great cover. Again, this cover, that's why I own it. And I own it because it's rather inexpensive. So I would say those three would probably be in my top three. 7 long boxes now, but what's in the long boxes? Is it like all modern and copper? Is it silver? Is it bronze? Is it a mix? Run me through says I have 5 short boxes and 10 slabs. That's not bad. 3 of the short boxes are filled to capacity. One is a couple of books away, and the other is about 85% there. I don't think that that's bad at all. Like short boxes are short boxes. They're not that bad. 10 slabs, that's about what I have as well. So I think that's a good amount to have. Now, do you plan on selling some of that before you buy anything new, or you just want to add more? If you could choose one best case scenario, what's your best case scenario for the comic future? Animated movies are released on a quarterly basis. Live action movies are portrayed very well. I'm not even understanding if I understand the question. The best, in my opinion, for the comic future, I think a lot of people are a little bit more doom and gloom than I am. I think all it takes is people to fall in love with some of these characters, whether it be by comics, whether it be by movies, whether it be by toys, whether it be by video games. I don't even remember where my first interaction was with some of these characters. I was so young, like Batman and Spider-Man, Hulk. I definitely the Hulk was the old TV show. That was probably my first interaction with the Hulk. But that's what it's going to take to keep this going on longer. I don't think it's going to be the new books that come out. I don't think it's going to be vintage comics for the younger generation. Or probably video games or cards that's going to get them into these characters. So I think the comic future is fine. I don't think it's going anywhere. If we want to talk about modern comics, the issues that they're having, you just hope that whatever gets these kids into the medium or into these characters, that they transfer over to the comic book medium. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. But I think the characters themselves, a lot of them, are going to be just fine. As far as the movies, live action movies are portrayed very. I don't know the question. Sorry, brother. I got the first part of it, but I'm not sure we're talking about the movies after that. Totally agree with Toby being the best Peter Parker and Garfield being the best Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean, what I liked about Toby's Spider-Man is the fact that he was like a nerd, and that's what Spider-Man was always meant to be. The '90s animated series kind of got him out of that a little bit. I don't know what the hell's going on with my camera. Where he was more of like a popular celebrity with MJ at that point. So, but I always enjoyed the nerdy Spider-Man more. The animated series is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I guess when you get to college, things becomes a little different. I reckon with that because that's how it was for me as well. When I got to college, it was a little bit more women focused than anything else. So I totally get it. But yeah, his rendition of Spider-Man was, especially the early Spider-Man, I thought was pretty good. But Andrew Garfield, from the jokes and the look of Spider-Man, I thought was pretty good. I didn't like the costume, like I said in the first one, but by the time he got to two, even the movie's horrendous, he looked like Spider-Man, like exactly like the body type, the acting, speaking. To me, that was Spider-Man. It's funny because if you go back and watch Civil War, when the Russos first introduced Spider-Man, that was perfect. The jokes that he made, oh, you have a metal arm, like that's Spider-Man. Always like oblivious. You know what I mean? He was oblivious in that film, like very jokey, very young, very like didn't know what was going on, just like I can do this and you're not gonna stop me type of thing. I'm gonna do this to you and you can't stop it. That's Spider-Man. So the Russos really got it. When they went to Homecoming and after that, they kind of like made him more of like I don't know, worried all the time, and like I didn't like that. Like he wasn't as jokey as he was in Civil War, and that's what everybody knows of Spider-Man. So like I think the Russos get it. Once once his 5 boxes are full, I'm going to take a break and focus on other hobbies I have on the back burner. If something good comes my way, or if I find something in the wild, I'll snatch it up. That makes sense. They're all silver to bronze, I think. When did bronze end? 70s to the 90s? No, the bronze ended in the early 80s, like 80, 81. That's when bronze ended. And then copper took over. So, so if you have a lot of silver and bronze, that's awesome, man. When you get to like 1990, then it all kind of heads downhill, in my opinion. Like some of the stories were great, don't get me wrong, but like as far as value and as far as the amount of copies available as a collecting thing, I think it's awesome to have if you grew up with it. But for me, that's not what I really go out and buy. But either way, if you have 7 long boxes full of silver and bronze, that's a pretty good collection. So it's about 10:17. I've been on about 2 hours. I'm gonna give it another 15 minutes. I'll probably call it a night. But again, this is a blast. I really appreciate everybody who's been hanging out, talking comics. If there's any other questions you guys have, hit me with them. I'm probably going to try to do this every couple of weeks. If you guys have noticed, that's what I've really been doing every couple of weeks is is trying to do a live, kind of get some interaction with you guys. I think a lot of people enjoy that as well. Happy to see some new faces in here tonight too. Black Spiders, the real McCoy collector, run me through. A lot of people killing money. Smudge on my glasses. I think I've seen you before. But a lot of great new people in the chat tonight, which I love seeing. So, excuse me. Plus, my throat started to kill me from being dried out from the liquor that I'm drinking as well, even though it wasn't a lot. And I'm happy to see we didn't have a lot of StreamYard issues. I mean, restream issues tonight. I don't know if you remember last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of issues with restream, but pretty good tonight. So, any final words tonight, guys, before I let you go? Again, I really appreciate everybody hopping on. So Shauna says, I collect comics via history from 60s Marvel and DC up to the present for me. So that's awesome. See, like that's what I would Shauna, are you may I ask age range? You don't have to give me your age, but like are you someone around my age? I'm 47, older, younger. This way I can kind of know like what people around your age collect. Like I'm assuming you're around my age because I think if you're collecting 60s books, you have to be around long enough to kind of appreciate those books. Like me, like I love Silver Age Marvel. For me, I've said it since day one. Is my golden goose when it comes to comics. I love Silver Age Marvel, all of it, from Spider-Man, of course, to Hulk. I've always said the Incredible Hulk #1 is one of the greatest Silver Age comics of all time. Like the cover is just, I think that's Jack Kirby's best cover. Like it's so inventive, so creative, uh, really underrated as well. Oh, she's a lot younger than me, actually. Good for you, Shauna. That's awesome. I like when I see younger collectors gravitate to Silver Age books. I just think it's a smart move. I really do. Like some of the greatest storytelling was done in the Silver Age on both sides of the ball. Some people will say that the DC Silver Age is a little campy, and I'll agree to that in certain points, but Marvel is a lot more grounded. I also think that's why you have a lot more Marvel fans out there than you do DC. So that's just my opinion. The DC guys and gals can argue with me about that. All right, ladies and gents, I'm gonna say goodnight to you guys tonight. I really appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. Make sure if you haven't, check out the podcast. They're great listens if you're doing like Sean is, adding batteries to her WCW figures. So there really are a lot of insight can be had from Jesse, who I had on the podcast today. Been in the comic industry for over 40 years, gives a lot of interesting tidbits about growing up in the comic book industry as a kid and then also as an adult. So make sure you're checking out all the the great stuff the podcasts have to offer. And again, I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. My collection is mainly bronze and modern. I love the 80s and early 90s stuff. Collect a lot of Wolverine. I'm happy with my volume 2 run. And Shauna says, yup, anything Jack Kirby, and I am happy he got Yancey Street in the New York. Give Jack his art back. 100%. Derek, you're still here, man. I appreciate you, brother. Everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the comics. Enjoy the time we have with this nostalgia. As always, this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics Collectibles saying thank you for watching.